They said it was impossible. They said,
you can't put together the most elite team of comic book reviewers on the planet and do, a podcast or something like that?
Despite all that, today we can proudly announce... Yeah, they were right. We couldn't do it. So instead, we brought you the most vile, ignorant, unprofessional group of comic book enthusiasts we could find. This is Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode of Panel to Panel. My name is Josh, and I'm here today with good buddy Adam.
May the force be with you.
And if you want the force to be with you more, you can go check out all of our other podcasts, such as Game Rage Star Wars, on YouTube. And you can go there at Game Rage Magazine and like, comment, and subscribe and see all the good shit that we have. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. You can follow our good buddy here, Adam, at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and go check out All Gas No Trash, the Game Rage music podcast, gossip show, whatever the fuck people want to call it these days. Additionally, if you like anime and things from the Japans, you should go check out the Anime Syndicate podcast, and you can follow our good buddy Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast, only on Instagram. All right. Oh, speaking of which, I did hear that an interesting fact the other day, that if you listen to Game Rage Magazine, any Game Rage Magazine podcast, doesn't matter which one, if you listen to anyone, then you are 0.034% more likely to somehow develop force powers and force sensitivity. So, I mean, shit. Considering it's 0, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So, it's just food for thought. Food for thought.
I also heard an interesting statistic.
What was that, good buddy?
Your dogs.
Uh-huh.
Not your dogs in particular.
You mean their dogs?
Your dogs are 13% less likely to bark at night at random shit because of Game Rage Magazine.
God damn. That's the greatest... I think that's the greatest fact we've ever fucking unraveled here.
Yeah. My personal favorite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nothing more annoying than a dog that fucking barks at random shit for no reason.
Fucking assholes.
But you can thank Game Rage Magazine.
Indeed you can. And you know what? We will gladly accept your thanks and say you're welcome. All right, now let's get into it today. Darth Vader, number 7. Man, I just have to say that...
Just a boy.
This is another good issue.
Just a boy.
He still shouldn't have done that. He's just a boy.
He's just a boy.
We get off with the sweet cover of Darth Vader fucking silhouetted onto the burnt out Uncle Owen and fucking Aunt Beru farm of death.
All right, I just want to say something. When we get into this issue, there is something to be brought up because this is inconsistent with episode 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I'll bring it up when we get there.
All right. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and do the opening crawl.
Everyone shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Cooper, you shut the fuck up over there. Callie, shut up. Rexy, put your tongue back in your mouth, you son of a bitch. All right.
Proceeds to stick it out.
Book 2, Part 1, Shadows and Secrets. Disorder engulfs the galaxy. After the destruction of the Death Star by a mysterious force-strong rebel pilot, the Sith Lord Darth Vader was deemed responsible by his master, Emperor Palpatine. Now, pursuing his own agenda, the pilot's identity, Vader recruited bounty hunter Boba Fett and archaeologist Dr. Aphra. Pitted by the Emperor against a new array of rivals for his position in the Empire, Vader's rage at being doubted was compounded by an even more shocking revelation. The rebel pilot he sought was actually the son he never knew he'd had. Now, alongside Aphra, the Sith Lord returns to his home planet of Tatooine, to the former homestead of the pilot, following a trail left behind by Boba Fett and the young Skywalker. And then we get into it. Tatooine. Fucking the same pose that Luke does. It's the same fucking pose, man. It's so great. He's just staring at the two suns, man, and he's just that John Williams in the background is fucking going crazy. He's just standing there, cape flurrying in the wind, and Afra is like interrupts the whole fucking thing in typical Afra fucking style. Oh wait, what are we doing here again? This place is dead, man. Like, there's nothing for weeks. No one's alive, nothing. And Vader's just saying, basically, the boy who destroyed the Death Star lived here. He left when his family was slain. And this is actually kind of a good point that she brings up later on, where fucking Dark C-3PO.
Zero, dude.
Oh my, such slaughter, such terrible slaughter. Those Poe droids, Because all the droids, man, he doesn't give a fuck about the humans. She basically said, Afra says, I guess it's an irony. If the boy was here when the jackboot came down, the Empire would still have a Death Star. But if the family wasn't killed, maybe he would have never left. And we kind of know that that's not true. Like, he was itching to join the rebellion anyways, which... It is fucking crazy how the Empire somehow let it get to this point. Now, granted, in the Outer Rim systems, there's not much Imperial control, and the Hutts essentially obviously control it.
Yes.
But it is crazy how, he was trying to go to the Rebel fucking Academy. They'd be like, oh man, people in fucking, it's like people in England growing up to be like, oh man, I can't wait to go to the colonies and rebel. I want to go there, man. Like, that's kind of funny. But anyways, revenge is one hell of a motivator, she says, and Vader says, you are correct. We are too late. Let us move on. And so she's saying, assuming Mr. Greatest Bounty Hunter in the galaxy has got his grid refs right, this is where Boba Fett fought the boy. And this is basically at Obi-Wan's fucking old hut. And Vader just is like, wait here, bitch. I have something to do. And so he walks in there and he feels the walls and shit. And then he sees the flashback in his mind of Luke fighting fucking Boba Fett. And which, man, I mean, Luke has literally no fucking training at this point.
That's the hard sell for me, is that they're trying to say that there was an interaction between Boba Fett and Luke Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker managed to somehow fend off Boba Fett with no skills or no intuition about the Force. Like, how the fuck did he manage that?
I mean, the easy explanation is the Force works in mysterious ways.
Fuck
right?
that. That's a hand-wavy bullshit.
It is some hand-wavy bullshit, but that's the easy explanation is, the Force willed it to be this way. But then we get into the fact that the Force is a living object, as has been told to us in canon. And the Force isn't omnipotent or is omnipotence the all-powerful one, right?
Power,
the Force can't make everything happen. The Force can just put shit into play and then let it fall out. Which is why Yoda talks about how you can't see, reading into the future is a strange thing, because it's not set in stone. There's a lot of shit that could happen that won't happen. It's just the Force can't predict everything, and the Force is not controlling everything.
Yeah, the worst part is Boba Fett is many times before has been nerfed. It makes him look less cool.
It does, man. How did you get okay? And listen, here's the other thing: Mandalorians are essentially the world's greatest Jedi hunters.
They're like Spartans, dude.
Yeah, well, they fought the Jedi. They literally rebelled against the whole fucking galaxy and fought a war against the Jedi and were winning for quite a long time. So they know how to fuck up the goddamn Jedi. And this little motherfucker is not even a Jedi. He's not even a goddamn apprentice yet. He's just a fucking nobody. He's just some asshole with a lightsaber, and he can feel tinglings. That's basically it. So it does piss me off. Now, granted, I know Vader does want him alive. So that could be the difference.
All right. That's true. I didn't even think about that. But also, I just want to bring up an issue. I just thought of this right now, but it is rather interesting that Boba Fett and Luke Skywalker are kind of the last of their kind.
Yeah.
With the Mandalorians and Luke Skywalker being the last of possibly the Jedis, even though he hasn't had any fucking actual goddamn training, other than...
Even though now, with the way they did the canon, we do know that there are many other Mandalorians out there. Maybe not as many as...
God damn it, everything keeps getting undone.
Yep, it does.
Fucks everything up.
And also, apparently, there were other Jedi that existed as well. So it wasn't even like... It didn't even matter anymore. Like, none of it even fucking matters. But it is funny how in this panel where Boba Fett is shooting at Luke Skywalker, he is shooting at his fucking face. Like, it seems like he's trying to kill him.
There's no defense against that to say that he wasn't trying to hurt him if he's fucking aiming at his goddamn head.
Yeah, he literally is shooting him in the fucking, right in the throat, it looks like, which would kill him. So basically, fucking Vader's like, you had 20 years, Obi-Wan. Hiding the boy in the one place I would never return was cunning. But in this, you are a failure. And then he basically just says there's nothing. So they're going to leave, and Afra's like, cool, where do you want this bomb? And they basically nuke Obi-Wan's fucking hut.
All right, this is where I thought there was a continuity error, because Rey Skywalker goes back to Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's home in episode 9 after she dubs herself a fucking Skywalker. They didn't nuke that place.
They nuked Obi-Wan's hut.
Yeah. So
okay,
that's where I thought I fucked. Yeah.
All right, so it was corrected because
Yeah.
That would have been funny if that was actually legit. So she talks about how molecular purge is good as far as forensic science can tell. No one was ever here. And she says, all right, what do we do now? And he says, I have to go back to my duties, but I will have a task for you soon enough.
Motherfucker, they just nuked a goddamn hut, dude. That shit's funny as fuck.
That is funny as fuck. And then we go to Santul in the Outer Rim, and we look at this fucking... This looks like evil Dagobah, basically, is kind of what this looks... I mean, Dagobah was kind of evil looking anyways, but this is like... Maybe this is dry Dagobah, right? This is kind of what it looks like.
Crusty fucking Dagobah. Yeah.
And so we have the Santul Pride, and it's this asshole sitting in this weird fucking throne in the shadows.
He looks uncomfortable because he's like...
Yeah, he's like sitting awkwardly.
He's like straddling
and he's sitting on a tree. Like tree stumps are not comfortable, man. This guy's miserable. And he's talking about saying, you lost my cargo, and it's a fucking Rodian. It's a goddamn Greedo son of a bitch. What?
I'm gonna sneeze.
Oh, all right, go ahead, sneeze. Go ahead and give it. He says, you've got excuses, something suitably spellbinding. And he's like, my friend, the Imperial crackdown. It's oh, that's it. Bad start, bitch. I've heard that one a lot recently, and I don't fucking like it. It's basically, I think it's bullshit. You want to know what I thought of it? And he opens this fucking door, and it's all these heads in there, and he's like, oh, ask them what I thought about it. If you're incapable of reading subtext, I was not impressed. And then he fucking basically just says, the Imperials are trying harder. All that means is you need to try harder, you fucking idiot. The one thing that makes me happy is, oh, you have all this fear of the Imperials. You came here, so you're still more afraid of me. And then he puts the fucking knife up to the dude's neck. And he's like, for that, your death will be swift and relatively painless. And he's like, what's this? And he sees this little red thing. And it's an Imperial tracer. And you just see the fucking whole thing explode. And fucking Vader and all the stormtroopers roll in. And he's like, Vader just, it is pointless to resist. And the stormtroopers literally just start fucking up everything. And they start shooting shit. They release, I forget what the fuck this thing is called, but this is like an offshoot of the thing that Anakin fucking rode in Attack of the Clones. This is like an offshoot of that thing. And so he fucking basically is like trying to fight it, and then this Rodian guy just comes at Vader with this knife, and he just fucking holds him up with the Force, and the dude's like, what the fuck is this? And Vader literally feeds him into that fucking thing's mouth, that monster's mouth, and just that thing's like, cool, and just eats him. And then as soon as it eats him, Vader just fucking stabs it right behind the eye, kills it dead, and the stormtroopers, area pacified, Lord Vader, as is the smuggler who led us here, stray shot. Yeah, this one was stray shot. And then Vader just, unfortunate. I suspect he had more information. Open the vault. Yes, sir, you got it. And he opens his vault, and there's all these fucking contraband. I don't even know what the fuck these things are. Death sticks.
He
he says, gather the contraband. It must be safely confiscated.
Dude, that pose is just under the chin.
He's like looking up like Superior
authoritative.
Vader. Yeah, Superior Vader. And we get some translation from Huttese, and it's one of Jabba's underlings, and this Hutt is talking about how the Rodian was a formidable competitor. Great Jabba will be glad he is no longer with us. And Vader says, the Empire has let the Outer Rim run wild for too long, Sutha. The Rodian was overly disruptive. If there are to be other active powers, they should be ones with whom the Empire has an understanding. Basically saying, listen, I'm killing your competitors so you can be the top dog, but we need to have a deal, right? We have a deal, and this deal better be fucking honored. And she says, and the great Jabba is pleased that an understanding was possible. We supply the resources the Empire so badly requires, and you discreetly supply us other markets. And trade in Sun Tool is clearly most profitable. What the Rodian didn't spend on his hunts, he hoarded. That is years of profits you're carrying, trooper. Great Jabba would be grateful if Lord Vader informed us of the route it will be traveling. And he just is like, that is Imperial property. The crackdown is not solely for the enrichment of the Hutts. Oh, of course not. The Grand General's policy serves a far grander scheme, much beyond simple provincials such as Sutha's understanding. But you must admit, it is a pleasing side effect, or side benefit. And he just says, this planet's underworld is your master's now. Do not overstep your boundaries. You will regret it.
So this is how they fund their operations now. Shit, I wonder how quickly they ended up getting the second Death Star in order.
Probably super quick, but they were just fucking stealing shit from everybody and just fucking using it to pay for all this.
Yeah.
So then we get on Sun Tool nearby. I don't think so.
This is my favorite part of the fucking issue.
Yeah,
dude.
you're kind art welcome here. And then this just gets fucking shot right in the chest and blown open. And it's an IG droid. And Bosk is like, finished. And he's like, statement, I have made my point, Bosk. Explanation, I was delayed by Imperial checkpoints. Query, what have I missed? Nothing delays, IG-90. And then there's this midget Mandalorian. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. The midget Mandalorian? I don't know. He's talking about the Wookiee saw there was a pit fight in the back. Dumb lump got nostalgic. Dude, this motherfucker has a gun twice the size of him. And like, I don't know what the fuck this guy is.
I don't even know how he carries it.
There were these dudes that were in the old EU, and they were called like swoop. They were called like swoop troopers or whatever, and they were part of this other like faction. And they would drive on these like swoop bikes and shit, and they kind of had armor that looked like this. So like, I don't know if this is like a dude like that, or if he is just some weird ass fucking rejected Mandalorian or some shit. And so then you see fucking good old Black Chrysanthemum fighting in the goddamn death pits. And IG-90, statement, fight pits are planned in advance. Query, how is he a contestant? And he's like, oh yeah, he strangled the other guy and then stepped in. No one was going to say no to him. And then he's like, yeah, Bosk is like, I've captured enough Wookiees and sold them to the traders to feed the pits. Until Chrysanthemum, I'd never met one who volunteered. And let's get him a drink, for when he's done. He's always thirsty after beating someone to death. And so then they're basically saying like, standards have slipped since you quit. And he's like, it's not even my birthday. And he gives him like a fucking piece of the dude that he fucking killed or whatever. And he's sitting there looking all smug with that look that like Chewie does when he wins the fucking board game or whatever. He's like, and they're like, oh, quiet down and wipe your mouth. Ladies are present. And we see Afra show up. She's like, oh, thank you, Mr. B-Box. Now, Imperial forces have permanently ended the Sun Tool Pride. They're done. Their personal fortune is in transit to its new home in an Imperial vault. Statement, everyone knows this, but I know a little bit extra. I know exactly how it's being transported, how to circumvent its guards, and most of all, how to get away. So, gentlemen and violent robots, who wants to be rich?
Dude, IG-90 was Although,
highlight of the episode, man, of the issue.
Highlight of the fucking issue, the fact that he has to statement query.
It's fucking great.
Man, what a fucking great character.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sorry. Was there a reason you're looking at the watch?
No, yeah, my thing went off, so I was just seeing if somebody was texting me. Like, I fucking was just seeing what's up. Do you have a problem?
It made me fucking paranoid, dude. You're
About
like,
what?
You're like, every 5 seconds, dude.
Well, because it keeps going off, so I keep looking at it to see what the fuck's going on. I have it on silent mode.
Right.
God, why don't you mind your own business over there, all right? Jesus Christ. Anyways, we get the shot of the next chapter or the next issue cover, which is Vader back to back with Afra. He's got his lightsaber out. She's pointing her fucking gun at someone off screen, and then evil C-3PO and R2-D2 in the back just going like, "Oh my goodness, Jesus Christ, buddy! Oh my God, everything's on fire!" So yeah, that's gonna be cool. This issue was fucking great. Also, I do think that Vader is now going to essentially be funding his own. Like, he's pulling some CIA shit right here because he's gonna make his own black budget by stealing shit from the Imperials. That he's like, oh good, we're gonna just take this money and then we're gonna, for this shit that's worth money, and we're just gonna fucking handle it. And then they're gonna kill. She's gonna kill everybody. Like, fucking, obviously probably not Black Chrysanthemum, but like they're gonna end up killing everybody that's on this fucking mission, I feel like, or most of them.
Yeah, it's gonna be some Office Space shit where like, oh, nobody's gonna notice 3 cents gone from the fucking the Empire's budget, right? Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, 3/10
What's $3 million and nobody's gonna notice compared to $100 billion?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is gonna be a good fucking thing. Oh man, the Empire writes back. Oh man, we should go back to the fucking Dr. Afra. Oh yeah. Dr. Afra's, I'm really enjoying all this stuff. Dude, what if there's somebody that asks a question about like, oh, how'd you guys come up with Dr. Afra? And they're like, oh, we made this all on our own with no fucking help from anyone else. Like, go fuck yourselves. Oh, man.
Do you think the artist can draw Dr. Afra in a bikini?
Hey, do you think you can make Dr. Afra thick with 2 C's? Anyways, all right, man, this is another good issue. The Darth Vader comic is just so good.
It is quite excellent. Statement.
This comic is quite excellent.
Query, when is the next episode?
Answer, the next episode is next week, you fuck.
He stands out so well because I think they made him red because everybody else was so kind of, I don't want to say they blend in together, but it's like, all right, let's just fucking make a red IG unit and fuck it, let's just throw them in there for the sake of having them in. We can have a robot and fuck it.
True story. Anyways, all right. Well, this was a fucking great one. You got anything else to add?
No. Darth Vader continues to be an excellent comic. It simultaneously makes me laugh because we'll never see these characters. We never saw these characters in any of the episodes, but they're so vital into these stories, and I'm just like, it's so weird, man. Do we get all these characters, but they don't ultimately make it into like the episodic movies, which is just something of a tragedy because it's like, man, how can we have all these cool characters, but we're never going to see them again? Like, are we ever going to get a Dr. Afra fucking TV series, or I don't fucking know.
Who the fuck knows,
at this
man?
point, with the what was that weird series that they brought forth and they canceled?
The Acolyte?
Yeah.
They had 1 season and then they canceled it.
I feel like it's, you know what's going to do?
What?
We're just going to get more original trilogy shit, things that take place in the original, because they're like, oh, we extended ourselves too far.
Well, we fucked up. We tried to go to this new era and everybody hated it, so.
Yeah, well, now we're more than likely not going to get Old Republic shit ever again, or anything.
It's the High Republic era, which is the
High
new,
Republic. Okay.
This the new thing. I mean, listen, if they did some Old Republic shit, I'm sure that would do gangbusters.
Yeah, but fuck it.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, all right, well, that does it for us. If you want to listen to more of our stuff, you can go follow on YouTube and like, comment, and subscribe at Game Rage Magazine. You can also go to Twitter/X at Game Rage Magazine. Or no, Game Rage Mag at Twitter/X. Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine. Follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official and go check out the All Gas No Trash podcast. You can also follow Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast on Instagram and go check out the Anime Syndicate podcast. That does it for us. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
was Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic book podcast. Thanks for listening. If you want to know more and follow along, go to Instagram and TikTok. Follow at Game Rage Magazine. If you want to follow on Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Tune in next time.